Hi there, my name is Miss Kelly. I'm a virtual content specialist for social studies grades 3 through 5. And today we're going to be completing an STW graphic organizer together. So we will be studying an image and then we will be analyzing that image with an STW graphic organizer. In an STW graphic organizer, we first start by writing our observations. We do not infer, we simply write down what we see. Next, we are going to write down our thoughts. Here, this is where we do infer. We think about what we see and we write down the ideas we have. And last but not least, we think about what we wonder, what we want to know more about. Here, we write down what else we want to know. All right, so we will be studying an image about the Tinker case. We'll be looking at a picture of John and Mary Beth Tinker. But let's just remind ourselves really quickly of the Tinker case. John Tinker, Mary Beth Tinker, and Christopher Eckhart were each suspended from their schools for wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War. All right. Now let's go ahead and study the image together. Here it is. The first thing I want you to do is to pause the video here and think, what do you see? Don't infer, don't think of any ideas, just jot down what you see in your See, Think, Wonder chart. Go ahead. Here are some sentence starters for you if you need. I see, I notice. I see a girl holding a black armband with a peace sign on it, and a boy holding a black armband with a peace sign on it. I see a boy wearing a suit and tie and a girl wearing a sweater. I see a girl smiling. Notice how I am just talking about what I see. No ideas yet. All right. Now let's think about our ideas. Now we're going to think about what we can infer based on what we see in the image. So your sentence starters here will be I think, it seems like, or something like that. Let's go back to the image. Pause the video here and jot down what you think about what you see. I think they look proud. She's smiling. He's not smiling as big, but he definitely looks proud. I also think that they're holding up the armbands to make them a really prominent part of the picture. Seems like they really want to show off those armbands, that they're proud of them and that they, maybe they represent something they believe in. So if you haven't already, make sure you're jotting down what you think. Last but not least, we're going to jot down what we wonder. I wonder why. I wonder how. Let's go back to the image. What are we wondering? I wonder why. I wonder how. Go ahead and fill in those blanks. What are you wondering? I wonder why this image was taken. I wonder why they wanted to hold up those bands and have an image of it. I wonder why they chose the peace sign to put on the armbands. Notice how I'm asking questions and wonderings about what I see and what I think about what I see. Make sure you pause the video to jot down what you're wondering. All right, now let's watch a short video to learn more about this case. And as we watch this video, think about this question. Was it fair that John and Mary Beth were suspended from school for protesting the war? Explain your thinking. we're going to use what we collected in our STW chart and this video to answer the question.
In 1969, the Supreme Court ruled that a public school forbidding students from wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War was a violation of the First Amendment rights.
So how does a seemingly subtle act of protest result in such a momentous decision? And on what basis was the case decided? This is the story of Tinker versus Des Moines.
In 1965, Americans were divided in their support of the Vietnam War, with protests sprouting nationwide.
In Des Moines, Iowa, a group of students led by 15-year-old John Tinker, his sister Mary Beth, and their friend Christopher Eckert quietly carried out their own act of protest by wearing black armbands to school.
The school district prohibited the armbands, threatening suspension or expulsion if the students didn't comply. The Tinker family, active in civil rights and anti-war movements, were committed to protecting free speech and took the school district to court.
After the district court ruled against the Tinkers, the case was brought to the United States Court of Appeals, which resulted in a tie. The Tinker family would make one final appeal in 1968 to the Supreme Court.
With the lower level courts divided, how would our highest court come to a decision, and what would it mean for the Tinker family and other American students?
Attorney Dan Johnston took on the case for Tinker, arguing that the school district's armband policy was unconstitutional and violated the students' First Amendment rights.
He also maintained that since students have been granted constitutional protection of the right to symbolic expression in schools in the 1943 case of West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, the same reasoning should apply to the students' use of their armbands.
Opposition to the case was firm, arguing that the students' decision to wear the armbands was a disruption to the school's duty to maintain order, so much so that it outweighed their First Amendment rights.
The interpretation of the Constitution had been debated, and a major decision was underway. Do First Amendment rights disappear when a student enters a public school?
According to the Supreme Court, that answer is no. The 7-2 count came with Justice Abe Fortas writing for the majority.
Fortas wrote that teachers and students, quote, do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate.
Fortas further argued that student expression cannot be suppressed when it doesn't interfere with school discipline.
The dissent maintained that the Tinkers' behavior was a disruption, a sentiment echoed in future cases.
In 1986, the Supreme Court ruled that a student could be legally suspended for lewd speech. And in 1988, the court decided that it was within a school's power to censor student newspapers.
Turbulent political times often inspire protests, especially among passionate young people.
What will next test the limits of free speech and result in a Supreme Court controversy? This was the story of Tinker versus Des Moines.
All right, everybody, I know you found...
All right, pause the video here and jot down your thoughts to this question. Was it fair that John and Mary Beth were suspended from school for protesting the war? Explain your thinking. Make sure you're using information from your STW chart and the video to help you. All right, thank you so much for learning with me. I hope that you enjoyed using this STW chart to learn more about the Tinker case. Bye.